Good evening, Mom.
Good evening all.
Good evening, Ramakrishna sir.
Welcome to
Okay.
Ncdc. Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you, Ramakrishna sir. And here we have the MCs to organize the program. So MCs, are you ready?
Yes,
Yomi,
ma'am, we are ready. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Good evening, Mazabin, ma'am.
Good evening, Yomi ma'am.
So before starting Secretary sir section, we can give a welcome to sir, all of you. Yomi ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining with us for today's webinar. Today, we are presenting webinar on the topic Significance of Law in Day-to-Day Life. So we have got the more eligible person over here. We are so honored to have him here. Without law, there would be disorders. And when every man lives without law, every man lives without freedom. Isn't it, Yomi, ma'am?
Yes, indeed, Mazabin, ma'am, you are right.
So share your opinion, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you are right. Law is one of the most significant thing in our life. We really need it. So we are very excited today to hear so many valuable message from our sir. Before that, let us begin. We are going to get food for our mental health, and we also need food for our spiritual health, right?
Yeah,
so,
ma'am.
yeah, prayer is the food of our spiritual health. So let us begin with a word of prayer. And let us all look to God in a prayer song.
Okay, ma'am. So
And it's a, yes,
start with the
ma'am.
prayer song, ma'am.
It's a humble request to everyone. Please keep your mic muted. Thank you. Lord, makes us instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let your love increase. Lord, makes us instruments of your peace. Walls of pride and prejudice shall cease when we are an instrument of peace. Where there is blindness, we will pray for sight. Where there is darkness, we will shine His light. Where there is sadness, we will bear their grief.
Yeah.
To the millions crying for relief, we will be your instruments of peace. God bless you. God bless you all.
Wow, that was
Wow,
a
very
good
nice.
prayer song, Yomi, ma'am. Super.
Thank you.
So, Yomi, ma'am, today this webinar is organized by the team Rising Queens and the 27 batch students. So
Yes,
to know more about them, I request you to share the video.
Okay, sure.
Okay,
I will
explain
love
more.
to share it with everyone. Sir, it's a humble request. Can you please stop the sharing once? I want to share one screen here.
One second. Sure. Yeah. Ma'am, audio is not streamed.
Yomi ma'am, please.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. It's not audible.
No, ma'am.
Not audible. ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. I will share it again. I hope it's okay now.
Through this BEE, Papa Easy English, I can see a lot of improvement in myself and I'm so happy for that. And also I'm so grateful to Papa Alexander sir for providing an excellent method for us to learn English in an easy way. And in this 50 class, we have played a variety of games like and letter word games, constructive story making, constructive sentence making, talking to an object, look and say puzzle, and so many more activities. And all these activities has improved my thinking capacity, it improves my vocabulary, and it helps me to think faster. And not only that, we are trained to face any interview, and we are trained even to be an interviewer. We are trained to participate in any group discussion and panel discussion, in group debate, and
Our
so many
excellence
public
is refined by top-notch and
this
certified
BEE,
quality
Papa Easy
standards.
English has also give us the confidence to be an anchor, to be a commander in sports, to anchor in any live show, in any reality show. And not only that, it also gives us the confidence to face whatever is coming in our way. In every situation, it gives us the knowledge and the method to respond in a positive way. So I have boosted my confidence through this BEE, Papa Easy English, and now I can boldly say, I can happily say that now I am ready to face any interview in future, and I'm also ready to participate in any group discussion, public meeting, panel discussion, and so many more which is coming in my way. So I'm so thankful to Papa Alexander sir. And lastly but not the least, I want to thank my faculty, SHERIN ma'am, who is very energetic, who is very charming, very smart, and very inspiring. So through SHERIN ma'am's help and guidance, we can complete this 50 class of BEE, and with her guidance and with her encouragement, we are now confident. We are now ready to shine. So thank you so much.
मैं NCDC पाठ्यक्रम में अपनी यात्रा के बारे में साझा करने जा रहा हूँ। मैं अंग्रेजी माध्यम स्कूल में पढ़ता हूँ। मैं दायरा प्रवाह अंग्रेजी में बात नहीं कर पा रहा था और जब भी मुझे दूसरे के सामने कोई कार्यक्रम करने का मौका मिलता है तो मुझे मन से डर लगाता रहा था। इसलिए इस कक्षा में शामिल होने के बाद मैं एक गृहिणी से एक शिक्षक के रूप में बहुत कुछ बदला है। इसलिए मैं NCDC का हिस्सा बनकर खुश हूँ। थैंक यू।
Hi all, I'm Diploma Soman, a training teacher from NCDC Alva Center. I joined NCDC family last year for an online course of the Ncdc. Even though it's an online course, I never felt like that because each classroom was really lively. This course has really helped me a lot. It has helped me to improve my language skills, my creativity, and my aesthetic sense. Here we get a chance to express our talents, and so it has helped me to overcome my shyness. In short, it has helped me to improve my confidence level. I think this is a really good platform for all ladies. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deepika. I'm from NCDC Alva Center. So today I would like to share my experiences from this course. I'm very satisfied in this course. First of all, it's a great honor to be part of this special course. I think I joined in this course on September. I chose the Diploma in International Montessori TBC. About this course, I learned a lot of new things from this course. For example, law of attraction, child psychology, importance of teachers and children, how we can handle the problems of children, etc. So this is a wonderful experience in my life for learning such topics from this course. And this is a wonderful platform for me to showing my inner talents. And in the case of English language, it's a tough job for me to speak in English fluently before joining this course. I think I have improved to some extent. So I would like to thank my dear faculty teacher, Vidhu ma'am, and what can I say, I really enjoyed her class very well, especially spoken English class. It improved my communication skills very well. So thank you Bindu ma'am for your great support, and thank you NCDC for giving such a wonderful chance for me to sharing my experiences. Thank you.
We provide different courses to ladies without any age limit. The courses are Certificate in International Preschool Education, Certificate in International Montessori Education, Diploma in International Montessori Education, Advanced Diploma in International Montessori Education, Postgraduate Diploma in International Montessori Education.
Wow, Yomi ma'am, thank you for sharing that video. Very short video which explained more about Rising Kyun team and NCDC.
Yes,
Now-
ma'am. It's my pleasure. They are amazing.
Thank you, ma'am. So all who are gathered here should be welcomed in a very special way. So I request Ponnu ma'am to come forward for welcome speech. Welcome, Ponnu ma'am.
Thank you, Madhavan ma'am and Yomi ma'am, to give me this special time to say welcome speech. Good evening, one and all, everyone. I hope all are fine. So let me start my welcome speech. It is an immense pleasure for me to hear an unfortunate moment to welcome you all. And also I welcome you all first of all within a grateful heart. I thank God for this webinar and this platform. I would like to welcome our resource person, Priya TH, presently working as an assistant professor in VIT School of Law in Chennai. So we welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
And also for sharing your time and energy to be with us today. Due to the respect, I want to welcome our master trainer and global goodwill ambassador, Baba Alexander sir. We welcome you, sir. Our evaluator, Bintu ma'am. We welcome you, Bintu ma'am. And our amazing and our backbone faculty, we welcome you, our SHERIN ma'am. And also all the members of Rising Queens teams and my dear butterflies of this 27th batch. So once again, heartfelt welcome to all my dear friends who gathered here. Have a meaningful learning section through this webinar. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Bonu ma'am. That was really a heartwarming welcome speech from your end. Now, Mazabin ma'am, shall we feed our minds?
Yes,
Let's feed our minds. So let me take the honor to welcome our honorable sir, and we welcome you to this spotlight. You can take your time, sir.
Welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Yochi ma'am. So it was very beautiful prayer from your side, very meaningful prayer. Thank you for that also. So I would like to start from where we have stopped in our inauguration speech. So what is the relevance of law in our life? What is law actually? So law we can define, or we can say that law is a set of rules as well as regulations which will regulate our human action or human behavior. For example, I wanted to do something, then I know that there is a law which prohibits from me to do that particular activity. Then I will be refrained from doing that activity. So we are regulating our action as well as regulating our behavior. So what if there is no law in existence? What will happen? They are telling law is very significant. So what will happen if there is no law? Can you please enlighten me on that? Some views from your side. What will happen if there is no law?
Full of corruptions.
So we have two extreme sides. One if there is no law, one is there is full of laws as well as full of legal regulation. So we can call it as one is anarchy or lawlessness. Another one is despotism. That is everywhere strict laws. So we people have experienced that despotism when there was an emergency declared in India. You can't turn, you can't go out. If you are joined with your friend, there will be some policemen will come and ask what you are doing. They will, without asking a question, they can take you to their custody. And normally, once a person is under custody, he has to produce before the magistrate. No laws will be followed in that. So that is the despotism. And very recently, even nowadays, we are feeling some kind of despotic approach from the side of the law because of we wanted to overcome the COVID-19 situation. The complete law. So that is despotic situation. And another one is anarchy. There is no law. If there is no law, then what will happen is that you have to protect yourself, your property, your assets, your body. You need to protect. No one will come. No state, no government will come to protect you. Fine. So if there is no law, I can't go out for job. I need to sit in my home. I need to protect my property. So that we don't want. We don't want to either to go to that despotic situation. Similarly, we don't want to go to that anarchical situation. So we wanted to have a balance between these two. That is what we actually need. So that is what the function of to make a balance. Really, we don't want that strict laws. We don't want no law at all. We want a balance between these two. So that is what even the government is trying to ensure, the parliament, even our constitution, by adopting our constitution. In the constitution also, it's made a balance between these two situations. But constitution contained that this emergency situation, that is also from the constitution, because we wanted to deal with circumstances which are very difficult to handle. So we wanted to have a short-term period of emergency or something. So I don't want to go into that intricacies. So topic for the today, significance of law in our day-to-day life. As you all know, law is there everywhere. If you go to a bank, you can see there is a lot of laws. Negotiable Instrument Act is there. Banking Regulation Act is there. Fine. So all regulating the banking activities, it protects the customer from the banker's negligence. So there are a lot of laws everywhere, wherever you are. So how that law is applicable in your day-to-day life, that is what the topic. There are a lot of laws. IPC is there. When you have committed a crime, it will be, the police will come and catch you. Definitely. Fine. So today, what is the day-to-day, in your day-to-day life, what all are the laws applicable? And unfortunately, we are not noticing the presence of those. So my focus is on that. There are laws, we are regulating, it's regulating our action, but we don't know it. There is a presence, but we are not feeling that presence of that. So what are those situations? So do you think in a day-to-day life, what all are the legal transactions? It's happening in your day-to-day life. Or is there any legal transaction happening in our day-to-day life? Any views? Is there any kind of legal transaction happening in our day-to-day life? Every day we are doing some legal. If I'm saying so, you can differ with me, you can agree with me. What is your view? I wanted to have some kind of a interaction rather than going for only one side monotonous talk. Please, do you think there any kind of legal transaction in our day-to-day life? Every day you are doing, but you don't know. Is there any? No problem. You think about it, please. All of you, please think about it. So, any views? Or can I continue? Please think about it. Is there any kind of legal transaction? So I will give you the answer. No problem. Fine. I hope you have already done that thinking process in your mind. So the truth is that we are knowingly or unknowingly, every day we are entering into various legal transactions. For example, you are boarding a bus. You are taking a ticket. And while you are taking the ticket, you are paying the money. Then when you take the ticket, it's an assurance that that bus conductor as well as the driver will drop you on the place which you want. Fine. Similarly, you are boarding in a train, traveling by bus. You are purchasing groceries in a shop, from a shop. You are paying for your money for your recharge. You are haircutting, or you are going to salon or beauty parlor. You are having a meal from a restaurant. All are legal transactions. Then you will think how it will become a legal transaction. I will call it as contract. What kind of legal transaction? A contract. A contract regulated under Indian Contract Act 1870. In that year, that law had made by the British. That law is still in effect, not changed. We have a lot of laws like Britishers' contributions, or IPC 1816, Indian Evidence Act 1872. So a lot of laws are there. We are following it because it's suitable to even to the modern situation. We don't want to change. If once the time comes, it will change. It will be definitely changed by our parliament. So anyhow, there is a law which regulating these activities which the people are doing on a day-to-day basis. So that is my focus. Then you may ask, how, sir, it can be a contract? Because I don't know, maybe you don't know who is giving you the service. You don't know. And you are not signing any paper there. Fine. You don't know him before. You are not signing any legal paper there. And you don't have any legal intention to enter into a contract and complicate it. Then when you know that is a legal transaction, we have a feeling that it's always complicated. We don't have that feeling. So we are not entering into a contract. according to us. But do you ever think you are availing the service and not paying the money to that person? You are purchasing some groceries, but you are not paying the money. Or you are paying money for some service, but that service is rendering not in the way in which you want. You wanted to have a haircut, and you said all the models, sir, please cut in this way, in this fashion. But ultimately, that person cut the hair like this. Fine. Then there is no model in it. So what is the solution you have? Do you think you have any solution? Normally, what we will do? We will shout at him. We will say, I will not pay you the money. Give me back my money. But is that the enough remedy which adequate to you for that wrong committed to you? Or you are not paying money for after getting the service? Do you think is that sufficient? Or do you think that person will be satisfied with your action? If there is no solution for him or no solution for you? Yes. So that is what the Indian Contract Act is giving you a solution. And keep in mind, there is no mandate under the law that a contract should be in written. If you are agreeing that you give me your mobile phone to me, I will pay you 10,000 rupees. If he is ready, I am ready to pay 10,000. He is ready to sell his phone to me. That is a contract. You don't want to write it in paper. Only the essentials of the contract provided under the Indian Contract Act must be satisfied. Then we can call it as a contract. So you are recharging your phone, you are paying the money to him, and he is doing the service. Recharge is not received. What action you can take? It's a contract. There is a violation of contract. You can take legal action as provided under the Indian Contract. Only thing you have to prove that there is a valid contract. And always keep in mind, there is no need that a contract should be written. Normally, when I am telling you about a contract, what will be coming into your first in your mind is a written document signed by two parties. There is no need for such kind of a practice always for contract. There are instances without making that contract into writing, you can't enter into contract. For example, selling your immortal property. You need to make it written, and also you need to make it registered under the Indian Registration Act 1902. So that is another aspect. But simply other transactions, there is no mandate under the act or under the law that this should be written and this should be registered. So now we are going to have some analysis of law. Okay, I hope you people are following. Can I further proceed from this section?
Okay.
Thank you. So Indian Contract Act. Now we are going to study some laws. So you can see it's an act. But there are some situations we can see that sometimes we may have bylaws, sometimes we may have regulation, sometimes you must have heard about ordinance, bill. What is the difference between all this? It's a very common knowledge. Everyone must possess. So an act is a law passed by the parliament or by the state legislature. We are electing our MPs, our MLAs. Their function is to enact or create laws for us. That is what their function. So when they are introducing an act into the parliament, it will be in the format of a bill. There will be a lot of deliberation will happen in the parliament. Thereafter, it will come in the form of an act. An act, once the President of India signed, then it will be in effect. So that is what the difference between act and bill. Now you must have heard about rules, regulation, bylaws. These all are coming under the act, not having the same effect of an act. Rules and regulation are secondary legislations or secondary laws. If there is a conflict between the act, that is the main parliament enacted law, with these rules and bylaws which are formulated by the government itself, by the central government, or by the regulatory bodies like Securities Exchange Board of India. So they can have the power to make rules and regulations. So if they are conflicting, then only the act will prevail, not the rules, regulation, or bylaws. So act is more prominent than rules, bylaws, ordinance. Ordinance is because Parliament is not in session. So we need an immediate need of a law is there. So what you will do, we'll just pass an ordinance which will be suggested by the Council of Ministers and it will be signed by the President. So it will become an ordinance having an effect only for 6 months. Thereafter, it should be made into an act. Otherwise, it will be lapsed. So that is the difference between ordinance, act, rules, regulation, and bylaws. Now we are going into some more deep into the act. That is Indian Contract Act 1870. What is a contract? It must be an agreement. Only condition is that an agreement that should be enforceable by law. So you have made an agreement, but when you are coming into the court says it is not an enforceable under law, then we cannot call it as a contract. It's just an agreement. So for becoming a contract, it should be an agreement with enforceability. And what is an agreement? Agreement, you can see that definition given under section 2 clause E. There is no need to be in writing. Agreement means you are making a promise or a set of promise. I'm saying I will sell my house along with my cattle. So this is a set of promises. And in return, other person, that opposite person is also giving you a promise. What is that promise? I will pay you 25,000. If both of them are agreeable, then the promise, each of the promise will form a consideration that the price of that contract also fixed. The price is not fixed. For example, I am telling you, I will give you my phone free of cost. You take it. Then I am not giving you that phone. But you can't enforce that contract because it is unenforceable. So we cannot call it as a contract because there is no consideration from that answer. Consideration may be even 1 rupee will be a consideration. There is no need for adequacy of consideration. Consideration may be 100 rupees for a mobile phone. It's okay. Law says there is no problem, but some consideration should be there because court is not checking whether the consideration is adequate. Right. So now an agreement means two promises forming each other of some consideration. Then what is a promise? Promise, we can see that when a person whom the proposal is made, so I'm making a proposal and you are accepting the proposal, then that proposal will become a promise. Then who is giving the promise? Promiser, and who is accepting it? Promise. Then what is a proposal? See, why I'm telling you, why I'm explaining all this definition, you can see how precisely law is defining each activity. A lawyer, his duty is, when a case is coming up, lawyer duty to establish that this incident is fitting with this definition. So that is what the function, duty of a lawyer before. So we have studied, we have already discussed a promise, proposal, and a proposal is a person who signifies to another his willingness to do or abstain from doing so. I am giving you my willingness that I will do this or I will not do this. That is also a positive act or a negative act. I will not do this. I will not do that. So that is also can be a contract. I will not sell my house or I will not. That is also a part of a contract. I can enter into a contract in that fashion. So my willingness to do or abstain from doing something, I'm showing that willingness to the opposite party. Why I'm showing that willingness? So that I will get that assent of that other person. He will agree with that. So that means I am making a proposal to him for his acceptance. Once he accepted the proposal, it will become a promise. Then promise, with two promises forming each other, consideration, then that promises will become an agreement. And an agreement with enforceability will become contract. So this is how the law says. Then one more element is missing in this, that is consideration. That is defined further in section 2 clause. You can see that definition. When at the desire of the promise, the promiser and the promisee. So at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person. For example, we two are entering into contract. You are telling that I will sell my house. I said I will accept it for 25. So the promisee or any other person. Either I can pay that money, or on my behalf, my father can also pay that money to that person, so that the contract will be concluded. So that consideration must be present, that my act for paying that money, or it may be a reciprocal promise. You give me your car, I will give you my house. So that kind of transaction may also be there. So that will also formulate a consideration. If a contract is not enforceable because of a lot of other reasons, then that contract will be called a void agreement. But there are some instances, some contract can be enforced or can be enforced only at the option of one party. For example, there is a fraud inculcated by the opposite party. He's saying that I wanted to purchase a house, and he's telling that this house is only 5 years old. We can't check the year, only what we have seen. We'll presume that this is the age of the house. But actually that house was constructed in the beginning 15 years before, and 5 years before only they have finished the construction. 15 years before they have started. But he didn't tell me that. He told me that this is only 5 years before construction, because he got the number of that building only 5 years before. But they started the construction 15 years before. So there is a fraud. He is not disclosing the relevant information to me. Now I have an option. I can make that contract void. That means that will not be enforceable. I can go out of the contract. Or if I still am thinking that, okay, this contract is okay, fine for me, even it is 15 years old, the price is very less. So I can continue with the contract. So that option is lies with you, then we can call that contract as a voidable contract. So even though there is a fraud, you are avoiding that fraud, you are still agreed to continue with that contract. So that is voidable contract. If you decided to make it void, then the opposite party even cannot enforce the contract against you. So these all are the important definitions of the provided under the Indian contract. I hope you got an idea about it. Am I right? I know law is a bit difficult to understand, but you must have a very relevant or very significant knowledge about it. Even though not knowledge in detail, but you must have an idea when you are dealing with a contract. Fine. People should have an idea, okay, this is the law governed, this one we need to go ahead. Fine. So further, if you are moving, then the important section under this Indian Contract Act, what agreement will become contract? When we can say that this agreement is valid, then when it's valid, then only it will be enforced. You two parties are there, then it is void. As you know, you can't go to the court. The court will say that this is a void contract. No, none of the parties are liable to enforce the contract. So there are some elements in the agreement. If that is visible, that is present, then only that agreement will become contract and it will become enforced. One is free consent. The party should give his consent to the opposite party that I am ready to take it freely. There shall not be any misrepresentation or mistake or any kind of fraud committed by any party, or any kind of coercion. Coercion means he is forcing you. If you are not doing that, I will kill you. That is a coercion. I will beat your son if you are not entering into contract. Then that contract, even though if you are entered into, that contract is not a valid. For example, you can see in movies, the daughter or son of that person will be under custody of other, and they will force you to please enter into this contract, otherwise we will kill your son. Even though if you are entering into such kind of a contract, if you are proving that there is a coercion involved in that contract, then that contract will not be enforced. That is what the law says. Then competent to contract. That is another element for becoming a contract valid. That means competency means the person should be major. A minor contract is voidable. That means a minor cannot enter into a contract. So that's why when you are, I will give you a tip, when you are buying a property, please ensure that that property is not gone through in the hands of a minor. If that minor is selling the property, minor cannot directly sell, fine. if a minor, a guardian will be appointed, and that guardian is selling the property for the minor, keep in mind, after 21 years of age, that minor can repudiate that contract. Because the law says, if the minor attained 21 years of the age, he can repudiate this contract, this sale contract, and he can cancel this contract. So don't buy any property from the minor, or don't buy any property where the minor was involved in the transfer before. Then that minor can repudiate this contract, and in whoever hands that property lies now, he will be liable to give it back to the minor. So that is what the law says. Minor contract is void from the beginning itself. So do you think the minor cannot purchase any groceries from the shop? A person who is not attained 18 years of the age. Law is giving an exception in that situation. Necessary supplied. Necessary things, food, dress, other necessary articles. If that is supplied to a minor, then that contract can only be enforced against its property. If he is holding some property, that shopkeeper, if the minor is not paying the money, he can enforce the contract of that sale of goods and articles against that minor's property, not personally against it. Fine. So a lot of legal intricacies are involved, but without knowing it, we are going and purchasing things, and shopkeeper is selling the things because he's having a feeling that you will pay money instantaneously, or you will avail whatever the money, whatever the service you have availed, you will pay the consideration instantaneously. If it is delayed and you are not paying, then he has to take the legal recourse against that activity of yours through the proper legal form and through the proper legal procedure. Then what are the other important things? The competency, then lawful consideration. Whatever you are paying back, that should be lawful. And with a lawful object. You are not entering into this contract for smuggling. You shall not enter into contract for some kidnapping. That is the object of that contract is not lawful. Such contract cannot be enforced. Then any other law declaring that a contract is void, then that contract will be void. So this is an essential aspect of Indian contract. Then you can see there is a clause down. Sometimes the law may say that some contract shall be in writing, and it shall be signed, the witnesses, attesting witnesses shall be signed, like our property transfer. You will go to the registration office and you will sign that contract. That is also a contract, a deed. And you will sign in the front of two attesting witnesses. They will also sign. This is a mandatory under the Indian Registration Act. So except this, all other contract need not be in writing. There is no need that the contract should be in writing. Only thing is that when there is an oral contract is there, you need to prove that there is a contract with the help of the evidence or with the help of the witnesses who witness this activity. So that burden will lies with you. You have to prove that there is a contract. That is oral contract. Oral contract is legal, valid, and enforced. Fine. So now, when the contract will end? A contract will end. Please keep in mind, this is not some complex thing. Even day to day, you are entering into contract. Because most of the contracts which you are entering on a day-to-day basis are instantaneously terminated. That is why you are not feeling that there is a contract. Because both the parties are performing their part in the contract. The contract is terminated. You are purchasing the product and you are paying the money. So he give you the product and you have already given pay the money to that seller. So contract ends there. Or when you are entering into a contract and the terms of the contract, whether oral or written, and it's going in one direction, but later you people are agreeing that okay, we can end this contract, we can perform this contract in this way. For example, you are purchasing the property for 20 lakhs, that is agreed. Later that seller says, okay, you give me 10 lakh, I'm ready for that. Then there is a substituted obligation. Or you give me your other house to me, that I am satisfied with that. You can take this house. Substituted obligation. Both the parties are agreeing, then the contract will be discharged with accord and satisfaction. obligation. That is what the term says, legal term. Then you can substitute the terms in the contract. You can cancel the contract, then also the contract ends. Both the parties are ready to cancel, then the contract will be ended. Or altering the contract. Entirely altering by adding new parties, fine. And you are going out of the contract and that other party has no objection, then that is alteration. That contract, previous contract will end. Or contract will also end if there is an impossibility of performance. For example, you are selling your house and that house is completely demolished because of an earthquake. Hopefully that will not happen. So are you able to sell this house now? It is impossible to perform your part to sell that house. So then that contract will end without any obligation on both the parties. Then discharge by breach. You have already given an advance for painting your house, but that person is not coming regularly and he done only half of the job. You have already paid the full amount. He is not coming again. So he breached the terms of the contract. Contract will end. Now you have to go to get your remedy. How you will get the remedy? What way, what recourse you needed to choose for getting that remedy? So before going into the e-contract, I will tell you the remedies. You can approach the court. Which court? Ordinary civil. Or getting compensation for loss or damage. You must have heard about municipal court, subordinate judge court. So these all are the ordinary civil courts. You need to pay the court fees. So the total amount you are claiming, 10%, around 10% of that amount you need to pay to the court as the court fees. And lawyer fees will also be the addition. So you have to bring up a suit, file a suit within the time. You can't wait for 5 years or 10 years from the date of cause of action. There is a law called the Limitation Act. The limitation normally will be 2 years or 3 years, or sometimes it will be 1 year. So within that time frame, you need to bring the suit before the court. Otherwise, even though you bring the suit later, the court will say this suit is barred by limitation. So there is a time period for every suit to be filed. So you can claim for compensation. You have already paid 50,000, but the house is not yet painted complete. So if you are again repainting, you may incur the cost of 5 lakh rupees. So you can ask that 5 lakh rupees as compensation from this person. The court will look into the merit, all those things. So that is which will happen in the court. The court, it will take its own time and its own, as you know, practically if you have already conducted a suit in the court, you know how much time it will take. Anyway, you will get the remedy at the end. If you are not filing, as I said, it will be barred by limitation. So file the suit. Then the second remedy you can claim for quantum merit. For example, there is a contract entered into for a construction of house, you and another person. That's the contract. And contractor already completed 50% of the work. Now you are telling to the contractor that I don't want to continue with this work. You can stop here because you don't have money. So what is the remedy to that particular contract? To the work which you have already done. So he can file a suit for claiming quantum merit. Quantum merit means whatever work he has already done, for that work, he is entitled to get the compensation or equal to that amount plus the compensation. The compensation plus quantum for the money cost incurred from your pocket. In order to fulfill this contract, you already spent a lot of money. So you can get back that money plus compensation. If compensation is not a remedy, sometimes getting compensation will not give you proper relief. You need that contract to be fulfilled at any cost. Then you can ask the court to grant you a specific performance. So when court grant you specific performance, it will ask that other party to complete the contract. So these all are the remedies. Then injunction, it will restrain the party from doing a particular act. So these remedies you will get from the court. It's from the ordinary civil court. But this is not the only remedy you have. We have another legislation under the Consumer Protection Act. That we will discuss. So before going into that Consumer Protection Act, this contract is now much more complicated, not only with the day-to-day contracts which we have entered. There are a lot of e-contracts also. When you are browsing a website, when you are installing a software, you will click I agree every word. Fine. So that is also a contract. It's called e-contract. This is click wrap agreement. If there is a violation, then you can sue that party, and you have committed any terms violation, they can sue you also. This is e-contracts, which was very prevalent in nowadays. Similarly, other types of contracts, shrink wrap agreement. When you are installing, it will be shrink wrap. When you are browsing on a website and they are asking you to I agree or disagree, that terms you are agreeing. No one will read that, but actually that is also a contract. Then browse wrap agreement, you will not click anything anywhere, but it will show in that website on the hyperlink that these are the terms and conditions. Then the law presume that you have read that terms and condition, and then only you are continuing with using of that. Then further, the contract is not at end here. Contract is even further moving into blockchain technology and smart contracts. Smart contracts is self-executing contracts between two computers. You have already set the algorithm. Based on that algorithm, the contract is self-executing. When the algorithm match with each other, you are not entering into the contract, your computer is entering into the contract. That is smart contract. But you can think that all these, even the modern types of smart contracts, even now regulated under this old Indian Contract Act 1870. So there is a time, this is a high time to change the law into pop up with the modern needs. So further, so if you are further moving, from where we will get that remedy? As I told you, you need to file a civil suit in the ordinary civil court if there is a breach of contract which already happened. So which court you will file? There are a lot of courts. So you have to file the suit in which that court is having proper jurisdiction. How to fix the jurisdiction? So normally the jurisdiction under the Code of Civil Procedure, that is 1908. So in that law, it says where the opposite party resides or where the cause of action arises. You are buying a property or buying a particular goods at a particular place. So that place where the cause of action arises, or where your opposite party is residing, where your opposite party is doing his business, or if it's property related, where that property is situated. There you can go and file this. Not at the place where you are residing. Please keep that in mind. If you are residing in Ernakulam and everything happened in Bangalore, you can't file the suit in Ernakulam. You have to go to Bangalore to file the suit. If the opposite party is residing there or the cause of action arises there. Then there is pecuniary limit also. The court will not take, court will have a limit, monetary limit. If the matter is involving more than 10 lakh rupees or 15 lakh rupees, it will vary from state to state because the state is only decided. So you need to choose the correct court based on the jurisdiction. Then you will get a decree or judgment. Decree and judgment. Then when you get a decree and judgment in your favor, that is not the end of the suit. You need to again file the same court or wherever that opposite party is having assets. Then go file an execution petition there, or otherwise known as EP. Then that suit will be, that decree will be executed by that. So two stages involved in a litigation. One is filing the suit. After getting the decree, you need to again go for execution, where the property will be attached and the money will be paid, where the opposite party is having the property. If it's not readily paying the money after the decree, you need to go for the execution. So now this is the normal ordinary remedy you have. But with respect to buying products or availing services as a consumer, you have protection under the Consumer Protection Act 2009. Previously, it was in 1986. Recently, they reintroduced the legislation. For example, you're buying a mobile phone or any washing machine, but after usage of 2 days, that washing machine is not working. And the seller, you contacted the seller. Seller is saying that I am not liable for anything. You have already purchased. what remedy you have. As you know, it's a contract. The purchase agreement involves a contract, but there is a special legislation that is in Consumer Protection Act 2019 is already made. So you can avail your remedy under this act, not under the Indian Code, if you are a consumer. So who is a consumer? What is a complaint? So a complaint here, it must be in writing. For your relief, you need to file a complaint before the Consumer Commission. Every district, there is one Consumer Commission. And state level, one Consumer Commission, and national level, we have one Consumer Commission. Any of your product you have purchased, which is falling below 1 crore rupees, fine. The worth is below 1 crore rupees, you can file the complaint before the district commission. It is not a complex process. I will say that procedure under the before the civil court is complex, but not before this commission. It's very simple. Even you can do that without the help of any. It's not that complex. So what will be included in the complaint? You're telling that an unfair contract or unfair trade practice is done by the seller, or a restrictive trade practice. I will tell you what is unfair trade practice and restrictive trade practice. Then you purchase some goods. That goods having defects. As I told you, the washing machine is a defective washing machine. If it's not ready to replace on your demand, you can file a consumer complaint. There is no huge court fees involved. As I told you in the beginning, that in the ordinary civil court, 10% you need to file a court fees. But here that is very nominal amount, like 100 rupees or 500 rupees. So you can file a complaint. Or you are availing some service, that service having some deficiency. For example, you are asking some electrician to electrify your house. But soon after electrification, whenever you switch on a bulb, the bulb is not switching on, it's not lightning, or the main switch is going down. So there is a defect, there is a deficiency in the service provided by that electrician. You can file a consumer against that electrician. Don't think that he is not a company. You can file individually against him before the consumer. Fine. So this is most effective legislation. This will definitely give you remedy, but we are not that knowledgeable or aware about this solution we have. Or they have charged excess price. As you know, the MRP is 24 rupees, but he charged 26 rupees. You can still file a consumer complaint because the price fixed by the law, he charged excessive price from you than the price fixed by the law. Fine. So these all are the consumer complaint. On these grounds, you can file a consumer complaint. Unfair trade practice, restrictive trade practice, defective goods, deficiency in service, excessive price charged. Then similarly, he is selling hazardous goods. That is not indicated to you. Selling a face cream. But when you are using that face cream, when you use that face cream, your skin is affected badly. It is hazardous to life and safety, but that is not told by that seller. Then again, you can file a consumer complaint. Or you bought a TV and when you switch it on, it's broken or it's exploded. It's hazardous or some smokes are coming. So you can definitely file a consumer complaint. Any goods, any products, any services which are hazardous to your life and safety, then you can definitely file a consumer complaint. Then any product liability, any kind of damage it's caused you, and that product liability can be enforced. That product, you can put under the liability on that product seller as well as the manufacturer. Both are liable. So court will look into, the commission will look into who is really liable. You can file a consumer complaint against the seller as well as the manufacturer. Both you can file. You don't want to file it only against the manufacturer. You can add both seller as well as manufacturer as your opposite party by filing this consumer complaint. So what is unfair trade practice? As I told you, against unfair trade practice and restrictive trade practice, we can file a consumer complaint. You are, for example, you are telling that buyer that this is a new product. Actually, it's a second-hand or renovating product. So this is unfair trade practice, not fair trade practice. So if you did so, you can file a consumer complaint. Then represent that I am the sponsorship. I have the affiliation of what I can say. Normally, you can see SEBI is affiliated. I am affiliated with SEBI. Actually, he don't have any kind of affiliation, but he is proclaiming that I am affiliated and is pretending that I am affiliated. So that is unfair trade practice. So these are some of the examples of unfair trade practice. The list never ends. I have just given you an idea about what is unfair trade practice. Then restrictive trade practice. Restrictive trade practice, you are not supplying the goods on time. For example, you know, there is huge demand for the Geo fiber, but Geo is not selling their fiber on time. So that in the market, whatever the fiber available, they can sell it at double price. People are there to purchase even at a higher price. So you are purposefully delay in order to raise the price. So this is a restrictive trade practice. If any kind of this trade practice is there, you can still file a consumer complaint. Fine. So similarly, as another classic example of restrictive trade practice, previously when we wanted to purchase gas connection from any of our nationalized gas connection agencies, Bharat Gas or anything, they will give you a condition. You need to purchase the gas cylinder as well as other components like the lighter and as well as this burner, everything from us. Then only we will give you the gas connection. This is now under this 2019 Act. This is a restrictive trade practice. They can't do that now. If you wanted to take it from them, you can take it. But they cannot force you that if you are taking this gas, this burner from us, then only we will give you the gas connection. That is totally not allowed. It's a restrictive trade practice. We can file a consumer complaint. So these are very simple. Anybody can do, but we will not do that. That's the problem. But the behavior of the foreigners, especially from Europe, they will file, even for silly complaints, they will file litigation. But we will leave it. That is what our approach. But that is not the approach in the foreign country. A lot of cases are there being filed there, but not in our country. We have all the laws, but we are not utilized. Then defect. We said the product is defective. What do you mean by defect? There shall be any fault in the usage, any imperfection. So imperfection or shortcoming which makes that the product is not usable, not in the proper condition for the usage of that. That is imperfection or shortcoming. Then we can say that this is defective. There is no quality. The quantity is not enough. You purchase something which normally the outside it shows that there will be 10 pieces, but only 8 pieces are available. The quantity is not adequate. Shortcoming is there. Then purity and potential standard is not up to mark. All are defect. All are coming under the definition of defect. Similarly, deficiency. Deficiency is for services. Defect is for the goods. Any painting, it's a service. You are recharging your phone, it's a service. You are buying a product, mobile phone, it's a defective. There will be defect will be there, not deficient. Fine. So, but another important aspect which is provided under this Consumer Protection Act is that you are protected from misleading advertisement. Nowadays, that you can see a lot of advertisement which may be misleading to the consumer. False description that this product can be used for that. This product is a very high quality, and this product is already tested by laboratories and it's already tested and proved. There may not be any kind of testing happens. It's misleading the consumers. If there is a misleading, then that is punishable under this act. What do you mean by misleading? Falsely describing. about the products or service. You're giving a false guarantee. You are not intended to give the guarantee, but you are giving a false guarantee to the consumers. Fine. So similarly, you are concealing the necessary information in that advertisement. So conveys express implied representation that some other manufacturer, other products which are similar in this nature are not good. That is unfair trade practice. That is a misleading advertisement. So section 89 says any kind of misleading advertisement is there, then that manufacturer or service provider, they will be liable to be punished in jail, imprisoned for at least 2 years. And there will be penalties, fine of 1 lakh rupees. Then it may extend to even 10 lakh rupees, and it may extend to further 50 lakh rupees if they did it again. Once they did, they caught, and again they are doing the same, then the punishment will be high. So this is the protection from misleading advertisement. If you are a victim of misleading advertisement, you can file a complaint against that company. Then the legal proceedings will be initiated. A lot of legal protections are available to us, but unfortunately we are not aware of it. Fine. So further, we have Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. As I told you, it will be there in every district. In a district level, the government already established Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. It's not functioning like a normal. There will be 3 persons sitting, 1 chairman and 2 other experts. You can file the complaint. There may not be 1 person, maybe from judicial background, other person maybe some other background. Fine. So here you have 1 more option. As I told you, in the ordinary civil code, you can't file a complaint where you are residing. But under the Consumer Protection Act, you purchase some product from wherever you purchased, you can file the complaint where you are residing, where the complainant resides. But that is not available under the ordinary civil code. Here under the Consumer Protection Act, where you are residing, you don't want to go to Bangalore. You can file the complaint where in your district. The manufacturer should come from his district, his place to your district to conduct the suit. Not you don't want to go to his district. So that protection is also given to individual consumers. So the law is trying to protect the consumers. Law is trying to give all the facilities to the consumer to sue against the manufacturer. But we are not utilized. So that is what the awareness, this kind of awareness, I hope will make you to resort to legal litigation, as it is not too complex under the Consumer Protection Act. It is not too costly. You can conduct your suit case by yourself with the help of a legal expert, or you can give to any legal expert also. So how they will proceed with the complaint? Once the complaint received, it will give a copy to the complaint within 21 days to the opposite party. Then the opposite party will come and appear and give his version. That is, he will provide a written statement, what he is contention. So that shall be within not exceeding 15 days. He will appear 30 days, within 30 days, and he will be given a 15 days to present his case, submit his contentions. Then simply is normally that complaint we cannot understand simply by looking into the product. The product needs to be sent to an appropriate laboratory so that scientific inquiry will be conducted to find out whether that product is defective or not. Then the Consumer Commission will order that scientific inquiry. It will direct that appropriate laboratory to conduct its investigation. Then submit its report within 45 days. The only thing is that you need to pay that money for the testing purpose. So for the testing purpose, you need to pay that money. But it will be tested and it will be proved or it may be disproved. So it will be easy for you and your case. Fine. So what is the time period? So the law says the complaint which you have filed shall be completed within or disposed within 3 months. So if it is a simple complaint, like you purchase a small good and it's a defective, so most probably you'll get the remedy within 3 months. That is what the law says. If it is complex, then it can be extended up to 5 months. Fine. If there is the inquiry, a laboratory inquiry involved, then it will be some more higher. Otherwise, it will be 5 years. Can be extended further. So this is what the process. You can submit your evidence also to support your case. Otherwise, most of the work will be done by the laboratory and they will give the valid report back to the Consumer Commission. Then the Consumer Commission can decide upon the laboratory. So you don't want to take that much risk to prove your case. Half of the work will be done with the help of the laboratory. Then what remedy you will get? Once it is done and the case is decided in your favor, so what remedy you will get from the Consumer Commission? Consumer Commission will direct that seller to remove the defect, whatever pointed out by the appropriate laboratory. After the laboratory testing, what is that defect which is there? It will be asked to remove. Or it may be, these are or it may be replaced. It may be ordered to replace that good with a new product. Or it will be asked to return that product to the seller and pay back the money with interest. If additional injury cost you, then you can claim for additional compensation for the loss or injuries. So any defect or deficiency, it will be asked to, for example, the painting is not done, it will ask that seller or the service provider to repaint that house completely. Fine. So any restrictive trade practice or unfair trade practices there, it will be asked to remove or stop such kind of restrictive or unfair trade practice. So you will get not only one remedy, you will get many remedies from this. Maybe compensation coupled with product replacement. Fine. So I hope you will get a very decent remedy under this Consumer Protection Act. Any hazardous substance they are selling, you will order to remove that hazardous goods from the sale process. Then cost. As you know, you conducted the litigation, it definitely involves some cost. You can claim that cost also from that seller, whatever the cost incurred for conducting this litigation. So the court may order the cost, not always, but in most of the cases. Then any advertisement is there which is misleading, the commission will ask to remove such advertisement. So you can do something very positively if you are affected by the defective goods or deficient service. That is under the Consumer Protection. Fine. So this is the main law which is there in our day-to-day life. Then what are the other laws? We are doing a business, then business laws will be applicable. And day-to-day we are purchasing goods, everything using the banking channels. So banking law will also be applied. And most importantly, traffic laws. And traffic laws, all of you are very much aware about it. So I'm not going into traffic laws. You know what is the penalty, what is the punishment, what will happen if you are driving without license. All these are there. All of you are very well aware. Then labor laws. If you are working, then labor laws will be there for protecting your income. Then environmental laws. We need to protect the environment. So there we have a lot of laws. Air Act, Water Act to prevent pollution. And we have pollution control boards. So this is also coming into our day-to-day life. Then law of torts. Any other civil wrong committed against you, then you can claim compensation under the law. Fine. So I hope you got an overall idea about what are the day-to-day we are entering into various transactions, and all those transactions are contracts, and all those contracts are regulated under Indian Contract Act, and you have a remedy if there is a breach of contract. Right? And if you are in the contract which involved in the consumer affairs, you have Consumer Protection Act, and you can seek remedy under the Consumer Protection. Do I have time? Continue?
Yes, sir, you can continue.
Okay. So further, the basic law of our land. So from where all these laws are coming out. So you can see that when we got independence in 1947, what we did in the very beginning is that we constituted a constituent assembly. And that assembly task is to frame a constitution for the country like India. And they did their task very beautifully, and they have come up with the lengthiest constitution ever in the world. That is the Constitution of India. And that constitution is made an immense role in the rebuilding of our nation. Approximately 60 to 70 years, we have achieved a lot more. Now we can even cope up with the Great Britain at that point of time. Now we can even compete with the Britain and other European countries. Everything is made possible by the help of this constitution. Because constitution makes our country more civilized with the help of the proper structuring our country. It structured our country. Even what will be the nature of our country? It should be a democratic republic. Republic means we have adopted a constitution. That's why we are calling it as republic. So that is a Republic Day. On that day only we adopted our constitution. So we are governed under the constitution. That's why we are calling ourselves as a republic. Then democracy. Democracy, we adopted parliamentary democracy. We have parliament at the center, and at the state we have state legislature. What is their function? Their duty is to enact or formulate laws for us. So they will give us laws, and that laws will be implemented. So what we have two legislative bodies. One is state, at the state level we have, and at the central level we have. So is there any conflict between each other? Because they may conflict that this is our area, we will make the law. The center may allege, and the state may also contend that this is our area and we will make it. But the constitution clearly set out, separating the powers. What area the center can make law, what area the state can make laws. So it is provided three lists: union list, state list, and concurrent list. This is a very common thing you must know. So union list says whatever are the areas in which it's like defense, railway, in which only the center can make. In other area, agriculture and other things, the state can make law. It is provided under the list. And the remaining things, which is in the concurrent list, but the state can also make law and center can also make. But if the center already enacted a law on that point, then the state cannot enact on any law on that same aspect. Anything remaining, it will be lies with the center. So this is how the legislative framework made under our constitution. Then further, we have other important aspects of our democracy, that is judiciary. We have very independent judiciaries. We have, that is Supreme Court to High Court, from District Court to other lower courts. So what is the function of Supreme Court? Supreme Court will check whether the laws made by the legislature is violating the constitution. If it is violating the constitution, the Supreme Court will declare that law as null and void. This power of Supreme Court is called a judicial. So that means they can't make any capriciously or what I can say negligently. They can't make any law. Either the state legislature, either the parliament. If they have made any kind of laws, then the Supreme Court as well as High Court shall have the power to judicially review that. If it is conflicting with the constitution, they can say that this law is not valid. Then we have the execution, that is executing. Who are the executors? The Council of Ministers. The ministry is not a part of the legislature. Ministry's function is to execute the laws made by the legislature, that is the parliament. So this is how beautifully structured. Fine. And it also provides protection to the people like us, common man like us. What kind of protection? It says, even though we have categorized judiciary, legislature, and executive, none of the body cannot interfere into your basic rights. It gave you some basic rights. You have a right to equality. You are not below than any other person. You cannot be discriminated on the ground of your age, your race, your sex, your color, which language you are speaking. These all are not a ground to discriminate you. Previously, we know that we have all this caste system and all. We are discriminating people basis of color and caste, but that is not possible in the today world. Especially the state cannot do it. Without knowing that some other person may be doing that, but the state cannot discriminate any of its citizens. Then you may ask, then some laws are providing special protective measures to children as well as the women. The Constitution also provides that measure under the Constitution itself. That's on that ground only we have made special protection measures to women and children. That we will discuss. Then apart from right to equality, you have the freedom. This is your fundamental freedom, cannot be taken out by the state legislature or by the parliament through any law, unless there is a reasonable restriction. For example, in COVID-19 situation, you can't say that I cannot go out. Your freedom of movement, that is, you can see the right to freedom, the D point, you can freely move throughout the territory of India, wherever you want, you can. But that is restricted because of the COVID-19 situation. That restriction is reasonable. That's why that restriction is valid. Otherwise, that restriction is invalid. There is no kind of threat like COVID-19. Then your freedom of movement cannot be curtailed by any state government, even by the union government. You can challenge it before the court if your freedom of movement is restricted. You can directly go to the Supreme Court. That is provided under the Constitution. If your rights are violated without any reasonable restrictions, it is not reasonable ground, your rights are restricted, then you can directly approach the Supreme Court, directly approach the High Court for getting the remedy. That also I will explain how you can approach the Supreme Court and High Court. So you can have the freedom of speech and expression. That is what we are doing now. The government cannot take out our freedom of speech and expression. I can express myself unless it is not falling under the reasonable restriction category, like the threat to the state. Then that is reasonable restriction. I cannot speak anything against a threat to the state. So there, my freedom of speech and expression is limited. Normally, I have the freedom of speech and expression. Then I can peacefully assemble any place without carrying any arms. So that's why you can see dharnas in the road, because that is they're exercising their right to freedom. That's why police is not immediately arresting them on the dharna. If it is become violent, then they can arrest. You can form an association. Like our Ncdc is also an association form. You have the freedom to form an association, as well as labor union and other unions. You can freely move anywhere in the territory. You can reside and settle any parts of the country. You can practice any profession, any carry on any occupation or trade or business, unless and until that profession is unlawful. If it is unlawful activity, trading you are doing, then there you can have a reasonable restriction from the side of the law. You can't do it. Then the important right, your right to life. You have the right to life and personal liberty. You can live peacefully. The state should give you all the facilities for your right to life. It should be a dignified life, not like a mere animal existence. You know how the animals leading a life. We humans cannot lead that life. So state should give you, grant you a right to life by giving you all the facilities like free air, free water, medical emergency situation you must have the medical aid. All these are coming under this right to life. Fine. So it's very broad. Right to life is very broadly defined by the Supreme Court. Everything will come under this right to life. You have free legal aid. You are not getting legal aid. You are arrested. You have a right to life. Under this right to life, you are entitled to get free legal aid. Your right to education. Everything will come under the right to life. Then right against any kind of exploitation, bonded labor, everything is prohibited under this category. Then you can choose, profess any religion you want. That is also provided under the Constitution. Then cultural, you have a culture. As you know, we have different culture in our country. So each culture can be protected. That is also provided under the Constitution. Then the minority institutions, you know, we must have heard about a lot of minority institutions. They are having that right under this category. They have the educational rights. So the cultural and educational rights are also protected under the Constitution. Then right without remedy is meaningless. We are giving, Constitution is giving you all these rights, where even the state cannot take out. But what will happen if the state taken out? Your freedom of movement is taken out by the state. Illegal. You must have the right to get remedy. So how you will get
Excuse
that
me,
remedy?
ma'am, please switch off audio.
How you will get that remedy? As I told you in the before, that you can approach directly to the Supreme Court, directly to the High Court. How? If any of your fundamental rights are violated, you can file a writ petition. Remember that term, writ petition, to get back your rights, either in the Supreme Court, directly under Article 32, itself a fundamental right, or you can file it under Article 226 of the Constitution. The Constitution grants you a remedy to direct any citizen whose rights are affected, or even a foreigner. He is also having a right to life in India. So his right to life is being offended. You can approach the Supreme Court or High Court directly. You don't want to go to the lower courts. Directly go to the Supreme Court. File a writ petition. So the Supreme Court will grant you writ in different formats. Mandamus, certiorari, I'm not going into detail. So you will get the remedy if your basic rights are violated. Fine. So this is the day-to-day you are moving, because of which is protected under the Constitution. So remember your Constitution. Remember the framers of our Constitution. They are visionary that makes us to lead a very peaceful life today. You look at the other countries, how chaotic the situation. That is not happening in our country because of the visionary of our Constitution. And that visionary is still upheld by the present government or any people who are living in the country. They are stand to protect our Constitution. That's why we are enjoying our freedom. With this, I'm winding up my session. Thank you very much. Fine. And one point, Article 15, as I told you, there are special protective measures for women and children, because of, you can see that nothing in this article prevent the state from making any special provision for women and children. That is stated in the Constitution itself. The Constitution itself grants special provision that women and children, any special law can be made for their freedom. Fine. That's why we have Maternity Benefit Act. That's not available for the men, only for the women. That's why we have Juvenile Justice Act. A juvenile can be treated separately from an adult offender. So these are all special protections. Fine. Thank you very much. That's it. I hope this session benefit you. Not today even, then it will definitely benefit you in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very good interaction in class from your side. We have enjoyed a lot and got new informations. What do you feel, Yomi, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. It was really a great session, sir. And the thing is that you are telling us and you are teaching us, you are sharing your knowledge with us wholeheartedly. And you have a great zeal to share your knowledge with us. That makes us very interested and that makes us motivated and inspired, sir. Thank you so much. There's no words to express how thankful you are. And your speech was great. No wonder you are a professor, sir. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
We feel like that you are such a qualified person in such a young age with a good
Yes.
personality.
Indeed,
So,
indeed.
from audience, anyone have anything to share, anything to ask, you can come forward. Waiting for your feedback.
Please, any questions, please ask.
Shakriya sir,
Yes, sir.
it is, as a common man, it is very informative because we get a lot of information regarding law. So it is highly interesting, highly informative. Thank you, sir. Where
Thank
were
you.
you, sir? Where were you born and brought, sir?
Sir, I'm from Palakkad district and from Kodachira. The exact place is Kodachira, near to Patambi, Kutnad. You know that place, sir.
Thank you, sir. Very good, sir. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Zakaria. Thank you for your time. I was late in the meeting, but it was a very wonderful experience, and I can see that you have grown, and I'm very much, in accordance with it. And I hope you have a bright future. And it was very wonderful. But if there is some option, like if we could have mingled with, the rest of the participants a little bit more, it would have been much more informative. But hopefully, next time, let's see.
I'll
Thank
make
you
it
so
more
much for your
in
time. Definitely. Thank you.
Anyone? Anyone else? Okay. So, sir, let me ask you one doubt.
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Yeah, there are so many laws for the common man if they are get cheated or like misleading ads, or then why all these people are not aware of it, and why they are not coming forward for getting support from the system?
Ma'am, one thing I want to tell you that there is lack of awareness. We don't have any lack of laws. Only thing we are lacking is the awareness to the people. And people know whoever is cheating, whoever is in the forefront of cheating, they know that these people are not going to take any legal recourse. They have that confidence. When that confidence is going to end, on that day, we can say that this cheating process will stop. Like financial frauds, they know that the law, even these people will not approach the court. Fine. And the big, like Vijay Mallya and all, that is different because they know that even the law cannot come. Because there is a lot of intricacies involved. They can freely save themselves from it because of that intricacy. Because what the law says, even the person who is a culprit, but we cannot prove that. We have to have a lot of evidence. Then only the law can punish. This is the case in the criminal. But in the civil cases, civil matters, we have a preponderance of probability. When you have two side people, so the law will only check, the judiciary will check whose case is more probable. Then the court is having a decision in favor of that. So the reason, as your question, to the point to your question, the reason because of is one major reason is lack of awareness, definitely. So that is what we are to do. A lot of NGOs are trying to do, giving awareness to the people so that they can approach the judiciary. Let the judiciary decide whose favor, whether you are right or that other person is right. We are not approaching. That is the first major problem in this. When we are ready and willing and bold enough to approach the judiciary, definitely we will get that out.
Then one more thing, sir. I think it's taking too much time for them to get what they deserving results. So that must be the one reason why they are not coming forward. It's taking 5 months, 6 months, or 1 year. It's taking time.
Some cases it is taking more than 40, 20 years because of the civil complexity. Because of the complexity in the civil cases and the procedure, as I told you, the procedures are framed in the 1990s. In the 90s, that like in 1908, even in the 80s. Fine. So even the 18th century, we have laws that is still in effect. So we have to revamp those laws. That is a function to be undertaken by our legislature. But unfortunately, they are not doing that. So that is one reason. But that doesn't mean you will not get the remedy. As I told you, we have specific legislation like us under the Consumer Protection Act. So you move under that act rather than moving under the archaic traditional laws, because traditional laws have very strict procedures. If you are not deviating from that procedure, then you have to restart the entire procedure, or the procedure will be stopped or altered. So, but in this new modern legislation, you will get more speedier justice, that I can ensure, rather than going into the traditional. So filing a consumer complaint, you will definitely get the remedy maximum within 6 months, if it is a normal case. If complexity involved, because a lot of cases are piling up before the court. Timing they need to utilize for other cases also. So they are already overburdened. So that is the other reason. So we need to, this government should need to open more courts and make the procedure more simple. Then definitely the remedy will be at an easy access. I
Thank
hope
you,
I
sir.
answered the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So, Yomi, ma'am. No, I think no one. No. Anyone?
Sir.
Yes.
Okay,
Sir.
Husna ma'am.
Sir, what do you mean by breach of contract?
Breach of contract is
Yes.
the violation of contract. Breach.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So either you are breaching the contract or the opposite party is breaching the violation. The terms of the contract is violated. Then we can resort to the judiciary to get the remedy.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, I am living in UAE, Abu Dhabi. So here rules are very strict. People are obeying rules and regulations here because they are afraid of the high fine and punishments. So why this system is not, these rules and regulations is not taking in India?
That is up to, that is because of they are following a kingship, not in a democratic form. They can dictate what the king or what the authority is deciding, that is the law. No one will question that. But in our country, whatever law you are bringing, it will be highly scrutinized by the public, by the judiciary. So if some of the feeling that this will take out our freedom, then definitely there will be agitation, and that law will be either struck down by our judiciary, or the people will agitate that law will be taken back by our lawmakers. So the situation, because of the democratic setup we have, we can't use that strict laws in our country. That will be possible in a governance system in United Arab Emirates, maybe not in our country.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Any more queries? Any more?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there is none, thank you so much, sir. Once again, wholeheartedly, we are thanking you, sir, for spending your energy, spending your valuable time with us, sharing all your meaningful and valuable knowledge, which also give us the awareness about what all rights we have and what all penalties we have if we exploit all the laws and all. Thank you so much, sir. So, Mazabin, ma'am, I don't think words will be enough to appreciate our sir.
Yes, sir.
But
Really
still
grateful.
yes, still then, as a token of gratefulness and as a token of love, let me call upon our sweet Najla ma'am for the word of thanks. Najla ma'am.
Welcome, Najla ma'am. Najla ma'am. I think there is some connection
Thank you,
problem.
ma'am.
Oh, she's here.
No.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this webinar to all dignitaries assembled here. I would like to thank our chief guest who attended the webinar very perfectly to us. Thank you, Sakriya sir. And I would like to thank our beloved master trainer, Baba Alexander sir, Bindu ma'am, our dear faculty SHERIN ma'am, all other faculties, participants, and my dear friends, and all the audience for making this webinar as a grand success. Once again, I thank one and all present here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Najla ma'am. So, sir, once again, thank you so much. We wish you a very successful future. May you acquire more knowledge so that you will have the zeal. You already have the zeal to share and teach. So, may you attain that more and more in the coming days. Thank you, sir. So, Mazavin ma'am, we don't want to wind up the session, and let's look forward. Let's look forward that we will meet and we will get to learn from sir in the coming days also.
Sure,
so
ma'am.
let us wind up with a patriotic national anthem from you. Please call. Whom shall we call?
Yeah, ma'am. Before that, thanking all who have participated in this webinar, and special thank to Sakriya sir once again. So you have covered all the points that a common man should know. So thank you once again. And now I request Husna ma'am to come forward for national anthem.